suspended. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. As the big man Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Now, as you know me, I'm forever making videos and things. As I was about to clock off for the day, I saw 1-2 bits and pieces of Arsenal news, and I wanted to wait until tomorrow, but nothing gets done unless you do it today. So yeah, big up you lot tuned in. Don't forget to get the creative juices flowing and comment any of the thoughts you have across everything we cover. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the like button and follow on all the socials. Links are in the description. And as usual, I hope you and your loved ones are doing well and safe. I hope you lot are in great spirits, and I hope you lot are having a progressive start to 2024. As we know, it's the January transfer window, and the rumor mills are going wild. You know, every day we're linked with someone. You know, I'd say biggest nonsense rumor Arsenal have been in would probably be Pedri. If we've got FFP issues, then Ivan, Toney, Douglas, Luiz, Pedri, Zubamendi, Vlahovic, just about any sort of player that's playing to a higher kind of level, a relative household name, is fair that we can rule them out, people. Edu and Mikel Arteta are going to have to be creative, really and truly. So let's see exactly what's been said. Allegedly, Thomas Frank has spoke. There's some developments around Vlahovic and so on and so forth, people. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Apparently, Brentford set huge Ivan Toney transfer price as Arsenal and Chelsea consider player sales. It's understood both Arsenal and Chelsea would need to sell players first in order to meet Brentford's 100 million asking price. Again, while I would rather wait until the summer if we're going to get overpriced for Ivan Toney, because you could get him for cheaper and there's going to be a lot of strikers that could be available. But I get it, if Ivan Toney is signed, he might be able to boost our chances of winning silverware. Obviously, he hasn't played football for a hot minute. 100 million is robbery. I don't think that's going to be the case then. But apparently, Brentford have set 100 million asking price for Ivan Toney to be sold this January, as Chelsea are looking into making sales in order to challenge Arsenal for his signature. While both of the wealthier clubs are unwilling to go to that price, Brentford's position is bolstered by the fact strikers are at a premium as the most in-demand position with few options. Arsenal have recently been seen as the favourites to sign the 28-year-old, with Mikel Arteta now wanting him as they suddenly encounter attacking issues in the Premier League. There's also the fact that Chelsea need to make considerable sales to meet profit and sustainability rules before even considering such an outlay, but they may be helped by Arsenal needing to work out their own budget. The Independent has reported that Arteta has decided what is the most necessary or workable from a list that includes a midfielder, 2 fullbacks and a forward. Probably need all of them. The race for Toney may become a race to see who can raise the necessary funds first. Any Arsenal move for Toney is probably dependent on whether Eddie Nketiah goes to Crystal Palace. Chelsea are meanwhile willing to sell any of Ian Maatsen, Trevor Chalobah and Conor Gallagher, but realistically need to raise at least 160 million to go for Toney. Spurs are allegedly interested in Conor Gallagher, but moving away from that. After that, if the two clubs can make the necessary sales or come up with the budget to go for Toney, it will be the case of challenging Brentford's hard stance on a player who has not played in 8 months. The feeling within the market is that Brentford would be doing well to get more than 65 million, given the 28-year-old only has 18 months left on his contract. 18 months left on his contract. Changed agents, clearly angling for a move. If both clubs are willing to pay 100 million for a player that hasn't played for months, as much as I think Toney's quality, it's a big risk, especially when you look at the summer. And again, I do think both clubs want a striker specific to Arsenal. Clearly, we need one. Clearly, there's an admiration of Ivan Toney, but Brentford are 4 points off the relegation zone. Obviously, they've lost Mbuemo to injury. Wieser is going out on to AFCON, or if he's not there already. Obviously, you know, they've stood behind Brentford have stood behind Ivan Toney. Most clubs would have washed their hands with anyone with the betting scandal. So they're probably saying, you know what? Even if we get 60 odd million, it's still a handsome profit considering what they probably spent to buy him from Peterborough initially. They're probably saying, help us stay in the league and you can do what you want to do in the summer. I don't think it makes sense, especially because he hasn't played football. If either Arsenal or Chelsea spend 100 million and he doesn't do the business, we're in issues really and truly. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Apparently, again, it's in the no season. I don't know who knows or who doesn't, but just to paint a picture, allegedly, Arsenal remain quiet on interest in Toney to prevent Brentford from leveraging the situation and inflating the value of a player who has been sidelined for over 6 months. From the FFP perspective, club is discreetly seeking to offload Nketiah without openly indicating their eagerness, aiming to attract favourable offers. The matter rests in the hands of Edu and the board. So Edu's going to have to do a madness. And how can you really act discreet, really and truly? Again, we hear that offers have been rejected for Eddie Nketiah. I guess it all hinges on Eddie Nketiah's willingness to go to a Crystal Palace or a Brentford and things like that. Arsenal obviously in that weird situation where it feels like we can't buy before we sell and we can't sell before we buy. And you know what, Arteta and Edu, they have to face the music really and truly. I look back to the summer and I'm happy with the additions, but I wonder in hindsight, when you consider just getting a loan fee for Kieran Tierney, from selling Balogun beyond him wanting to leave, getting David Raya on loan, in theory or in hindsight, was we always, and I know we spent big money in the summer and some good additions, but in theory, was we always treading a close line to FFP in general anyways? We probably need to qualify for the Champions League for a couple of seasons. And obviously the KSC needs to keep injecting money. We need to start getting top money for outgoings, especially Haaland products that may or may not make it at the first team. And just generally, I think Edu and Arteta have done well in terms of recruitment, and people get things wrong. But in the last 18 months, 3 years or whatever, I like Fabio Vieira, but Fabio Vieira was 30 odd million quid. Lokonga was 20 odd million quid. Tavares was 8. You gave Cedric 100 bags a week and things like that. So are we managing our finances correctly? And also, when you look in the summer, added to what I just said about bringing in players, we also gave new contracts as well, which obviously inflates things. And we've already got a number of players, which I don't care who gets paid what, but allegedly Cedric is on 100k, Eddie is on 100k, Jorginho and Partey are on decent money, and there's El Nene's still here. So are we managing the finances correctly? I don't know. I'm not an accountant, people. I'm just a football fan. Thomas Frank allegedly has announced Brentford have no plans to sell Ivan Toney in January. He said, yes, he's staying. He's a Brentford player. I can't see why we would sell him, and I would love to have him for a longer time. It needs to be an unbelievable price, so he will stay here. Now, I do think that's fact. I do think a bit of that is gamesmanship, really and truly, because it's the 4th of January. Well, I'm not saying Ivan Toney's going to join Arsenal or elsewhere, but it feels like the calm before the storm. January is a reactive market anyways, and you'd imagine there's going to be reaction. I think a striker is probably what Arsenal need. I think a striker, a winger, a centre middle too, and a defensive option or options are all needed. But when you break down necessities, I think they're all necessities. I think we've got to that scenario where it's neither either or. You need all of them. All of them play a part. I reckon if you ask Mikel Arteta, though, defense would probably be the priority. And for me, I would say central midfield. It feels like a striker and or a winger, or either of the two. It feels like a luxury that may or may not be attainable, people. Allegedly, Arsenal will return for Vlahovic this winter. An offer of 60 million could convince Juventus to sell. But, it all depends where you read, because apparently, according to Sky Italy, Arsenal are serious about Dusan Vlahovic. Juventus club is willing to listen to offers already in this winter transfer market session. Vlahovic is considered less expensive option than Toney. I mean, you hear Juventus are struggling financially. They would be making a loss. And, it all depends on Vlahovic's willingness to join the club. The first time we was linked with him in recent weeks, I think it was off the basis of, it seems like Juventus are trying to get a new deal. Now it seems that it's leveraging Arsenal's need for a striker and Juventus's situation in relation to that. But again, unless there's creative accounting or a way to get around it, how are we going to sign Vlahovic, really? We know Arsenal had an interest in him. I'm very pessimistic on anything that links us out of players in Italy. We've been round the houses. Don't forget to smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts. Apparently, Juventus's director, Guntoli, has said, bid from Arsenal for Vlahovic. We don't know anything about that story. There's nothing. Vlahovic is not for sale. So it depends where you read. Crystal Palace, according to David Ornstein, have a firm interest in Nketiah, but Arsenal have not indicated any desire to let him go so far. If that changes, I'd expect Palace to push hard. Unless we've sat there in the drawing board and there's an actual plan to get Ivan Toney, and there's a willingness for him to get it done, and there's a willingness from Brentford to get it done, I don't think Eddie Nketiah, I think Nketiah stays, really, because whether you rate him or not, he is our highest scoring striker, really, with 5 goals, which tells you everything. We're playing a dangerous game, and we need bodies in the team. 40 million for Eddie Nketiah, I drive it myself. Romano has spoken on Pedro Neto. Now, these are guys that we don't even know if we're going to get them in the summer, but summer is the best you can hope for. Arsenal are being linked again with Pedro Neto, and it's hardly surprising after his fine form for Wolves, while it's also clear the Gunners are not quite clicking in attack at the moment. Still, I think this is a difficult one for January, so it could be one for the summer. Neto was already on Arsenal's radar years ago. He's always been appreciated, but there are also other clubs interested, so nothing is guaranteed. Personally, I think Neto is a very, very good player, underrated at some points. He'd be a perfect fit for Arsenal. In my view, let's see how the situation will evolve in the next few months. Apparently, Arsenal will knock on Fenerbahce's door for the 24-year-old versatile fullback Ferdi Kardiogoglu. I can't pronounce that. Sorry to my Turkish fans, but apparently he can play left and right back. Never seen him play. Don't know if he's good enough or not. But on paper, he fits the billing, people. Allegedly, Arsenal officials are set to fly to Turkey next week to discuss a potential deal for the Fenerbahce fullback. And, you know, when you look at him on paper, people, he's played 13 times at left back and 3 times at right back. And I think he can actually play in a couple of roles. At 24 years of age, you know, 24, 20, 25, he's played 172 times for Fenerbahce. He's a current Turkish international and a Dutch under 21s international, you know. But when you break it down, you know, he's played 125 times in the Turkish first division and 27 times in the Eredivisie. So there's a lot to like about him. Is he good enough? I don't have a clue. You know, Ahamadou Onana, a player we was linked with when he was at Lille, and since she joined Everton, won't go away. Arsenal have approached Everton over a January deal for midfielder Onana. Arteta is a huge admirer of Onana. Arsenal are keen to beat the competition to Onana's signature, and sources state they want to bring him in this month. Unless we offload players or offer for a swap deal, when I see Onana, surely that's 50, 60 odd million pounds. So where are we finding that? I'm no finance man. Whatever reports you read, Arsenal are treading close to FFP. Them rumours are right off the mark. Regardless, Arsenal are going to have to make it happen, really and truly, if I'm honest. Today, we did hear Arsenal are plotting a move for Ajax teenager Jarell Hatto. The 17-year-old can operate at centre-back and left-back and has played every minute of every game for Ajax this season. A summer move is understood to be more likely than January. Bring him. The last lad we got from Ajax, it worked out, really and truly. Once again, Arsenal apparently recently scouted Ferdy Kadioglu on site in the Fenerbahce Galatasaray match at chief scout level and presented the final report for Ferdy to the technical staff. So we'll have to watch that one. Jeremy Frimpong apparently in June has a €40 million release clause and it becomes active in the summer. Arsenal have been linked with him before. Romano's offered his opinion on that. Olise is a player that's always going to be in high demand. Allegedly, Arsenal remain interested in Crystal Palace winger Olise, and the France under-21 international prefers a transfer to the Gunners over the possibility of going to Man United. Apparently, Arteta is a long-term fan of Olise, and apparently he's got a release clause, people. And I would love Olise. I think if you're Olise, Man United's tempting, Arsenal's tempting. Of course, you know, we look a bit more rosier at this moment than Manchester United. I would love him, really. I would say the only criticisms is he needs to play to that high level a lot of the time, and he does pick up some injuries, but he's got a technical level. He's got that positive chip on his shoulder. He can play in a number of roles. Quote unquote, the 22-year-old is Premier League proven. He kind of ties in with what we're doing. I don't think there isn't someone that isn't a fan of Olise, people. Let me know if you're not, or let me know your thoughts on such. I think it's fair to say getting him in January is a myth. Although the 22-year-old signed a new contract with Palace and he was wanted by Chelsea, who he played for at academy level, midway through 2023, there is a release clause in the deal that comes into effect after the current season is over. This is reportedly around €70 million, 60 million. Now, I don't know if we're going to spend 60 million on Olise. There need to be some bargaining. Maybe in the summer, if Eddie Nketiah is still here, you know, we'll give you 20 million and Eddie and we call it quits, people. He's got 5 goals in just 9 Premier League appearances and has contributed either a goal or an assist in each of his 4 games. Football Transfers understands that Arsenal could potentially make a January move for Olise, but would need to make significant sales first, and the likelihood is that this is a deal for the summer. A source close to the deal, if there is a deal, because no bids have been made unless there's talks in the back burners, has indicated Olise would much prefer a move to Arsenal over Man United. Of course, we look more attractive than them, and obviously if he's a boyhood Arsenal fan and there's an aspect of staying in London, then fair enough. This is similar to the stance of Ivan Toney, who wants to join Arteta's side ahead of Chelsea, even if a deal in January looks unlikely due to the Bees' high asking price, people. Apparently, he grew up as an Arsenal fan and was close to actually signing for Arsenal before he joined Chelsea, and even played a couple of games for our academy team, people. Any deal for Olise will not have an impact on Arsenal's chase to sign Pedro Neto. I can't see us I would love to have Pedro Neto, Olise, Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard, as well as, you know, Nelson would probably be moved on. Probably Smith Rowe as well, but it'd be lovely to have them options. I can't really see it happening, people. So yes, I mean, we're linked with some attractive names: Olise, Pedro Neto, Ivan Toney, Osimhen historically, Vlahovic, Douglas Luiz, Zubamendi. They would all be lit if we signed them all. Boy, you know, we're spending a couple countries' GDPs, but the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. So let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. Appreciative of you lot tuned in. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, like, subscribe. Journey to 70k subs is alive and kicking. And yeah, turn on your notification bells because there's bound to be streams, videos, and so on and so forth. Make sure you're following on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff. Deluded Guna or Deluded Guna 04. You type in your platform, you'll find me. You lot stay safe, stay blessed. Let me know your thoughts. Comment a thought after, and yeah, stay blessed, man, and we'll link up again soon.
Always that active red light. I think it's like